Life is a sacred journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Micheal Pope, and you've joined us for another connection at Life is the Sacred Journey. It's so good to be with you this morning, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful every day that I'm able to get up and be with all of you. So good morning. Hit the share button. Let somebody else know we've gone live here at Life is a Sacred Journey, and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, our subscribers are growing and growing, and we thank all of you who come back every week for this wonderful time of just connection. And then we have folks that come in and talk with us and share best practices for caregiving or their caregiving journey or their book or that. So we have some folks coming to join us in the Life is a Sacred Journey neighborhood in the weeks to come. But this is one of the Micheal Pope Ponderings. Our candle is lit this morning because we got here on time and got up at the crack of dawn because the moon was just shining in my bedroom and I had to go take a look at it. But the candle is lit. The candle is lit for everyone that we all have lost, either in a global public way or just for those that we have lost personally in our families and all of that. As you know, this has been my winter season of loss, and I've learned so much. I'm coming through it and learning how to embrace loss in a way that it is a part of the sacred journey of life, and not being afraid of it and not trying to rush it, but just embracing it and just thanking the universe and thanking God that I can grieve people, because that means I love so deeply. As you can see behind me there next to the light is Dero Alpha. Alpha is here with me. He's up. I got a photo of him here on my desk. I can't let him go yet, folks. So he's here cheering me on. So again, welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. I want to share with you first, I told you about the East Bay Women's Conference that took place a couple of weeks ago now, and I was going to actually share my presentation time. We were going to present together. I wasn't sharing it because Linda is a friend. It's not sharing. It's just two great friends, colleagues coming together and sharing the wisdom of a long time with people about caregiving and finding that space where you can get beyond the grief and the despair of caregiving. And Linda graciously gave everyone who attended the conference her book, The Empowered Caregiver: Practical Advice and Emotional Support for Adult Children of Aging Parents, and it's by Linda Fodrini-Johnson. Linda is a dear colleague, dear friend. This is a wonderful book. I haven't read the whole thing yet. I'm on page 114. But what I like about it, she puts affirmations, and you know how I feel about affirmations. She puts affirmations at the end of her chapters and places. One of them was, I'm entitled to respect. I respect others. And I love that. I'm entitled to respect. I respect others. That's an affirmation. And her chapters are not big. They're like 2 and 3 pages. So you can even use it as a reference where, my dear sister, Carolyn Brent writes this way as well, where you can read the book cover to cover, but then you can use it as a reference and put Post-it notes in so that you can use it as a resource in a reference book. And I love this affirmation. My love is endless. My energy is limited. Oh, wow. My love is endless. My energy is limited. That definitely is something that caregivers have to understand. The amount of love that we have versus the amount of energy that we have to see something through are two different things. So great book. Look it up. I believe you can get it online. And a light is lit for Linda's husband. He recently passed away. He went on to glory, and that's why she was not able to join me at the East Bay Women's Conference. So a shout out to her, her family, their friends, their church family, because they are people of faith, and to Linda. The light is for her. Light is for everybody that needs it this morning. So if you needed somebody to light a candle for you this morning, that light is for you. I'm just shouting out the people that I lit it for. And if you want us to recognize anyone that you feel this candle is lit for this morning, share it in the chat, share it, and we will definitely lift those names up as we clean up the broadcast and put it in all the spots. So thank you for that. I also want to lift up, oh my gosh, Jane. I saw Stuart's picture. I think some of you are my friend on Facebook, and Stuart was being recognized in a newspaper article for his, he's a musician, and he was so young, and I was just like, wow, it's amazing how beautiful we age. Like, we are all such, I thought I was cute when I was young, right? I thought I was the cutest thing. My teenage years were kind of wonky because, as you know, I've told you this before, I had eczema really bad. I still do have it, but I realized a lot of it is emotional and hormones and stress and all kinds of things. And so I had it really bad in high school. So I was bullied, and guys didn't like me, and the girls didn't like me, maybe a handful. But for the most part, my youth was very horrific. Not because of parents or anything happening to me in that aspect, but because I was bullied a lot. And so I think at some point I might have even become a bullier. I don't know, but I can't remember, but I kind of feel it in my soul. And that's why I'm so for the underdog, and making sure that the underdog is always lifted up and loved and know that they matter. But what I'm saying about Stuart, let's go back, Micheal. Okay, I got you. Is that, we look at ourselves at a certain age, and it's cool. It's like, wow, he was so handsome and all of that. But then I know him now, and I think, oh man, but the wisdom of life and all of that makes him a different type of attractive. And that's how I feel about myself and about all my friends around me, that we're living this journey, and we're moving into these incredible seasons, and we're eating healthier, and we're exercising. And so our bodies look, yes, they look older, but they look loved. And when we walk around with love bodies, and I don't mean just sexually, I just mean love, meaning nurturing yourself, getting enough rest, drinking water, taking vitamins if they're good for you, and you talk to your doctor and he or she says, yay, but it's really loving yourself. That's what creates that glow, that thing that everybody wonders, why is she aging, or why is he aging like that? It is because you love. And so Stuart Furman is one of the biggest thump heart loving people that I know. I just made that up, by the way. That's pretty cool too. And that's why he looks so wonderful today. And thank you for sharing with us, Stuart, on Facebook. Oh, let me tell you one more thing, and then I'll go into our pondering time. My friend Sally works for Elegance Berkeley. She is the outreach marketing community liaison person, and comes out and informs people. Well, she popped into my office yesterday afternoon. I was preparing for a board meeting, and everybody else had gone home, and I was here, and she popped in and she dropped off this beautiful little tin can, which I love. And this is a wildflower blend. This is for a shade area. And here they are, wildflower blend. In it was also the gloves to do the gardening. So I love this idea. And this is what happened when she did this. As you all know, I'm a retrospect thinker. So I thought about this on the way home, and thought, oh, cool. So what I'm going to do now, these are for shaded areas, and I go for walks all the time. And I'm going to put little handfuls of these in my pocket, not with the dog treats, but in my other pocket. And where there's a shaded area, a bare area, I'm going to put some of these, not to choke up any other kind of foliage. Where there is a bare area, where it is barren, just open up the ground a little bit. You take a little bit of water with you, and they may grow, they may not. But I love this idea of putting wildflowers in shaded areas that are barren because of rain or fire or whatever. Let's plant wildflowers all over the place. Okay, so thank you, Sally. Sally is a Life is a Sacred Journey friend, and so thank you, Sally, for that wonderful gift. That's a really nice gift. So let's get into the ponderings before we run out of time. And I'm trying to get comfortable. I apologize. And first pondering is, how do we keep our brains alive? I've been thinking a lot about this more and more because my birthday's coming up. I'm at that age of many of the people that we serve at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. Many of them I'm at the age that they are downstairs with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so I begin to think about, like, am I doing enough exercising? Am I getting enough rest? Am I lowering my stress? And all those kinds of things to keep my brain healthy, active, and alive. And I'm almost there. Stress level, I need to do some more work on that. And so last night I made a list of the things that I need to work on in order to continue to have good brain health. And one of them was to lower my stress. And my thing is with stress, this is my problem or my challenge that I'm working on. I'm emotionally engaged with a lot of things. And when I say emotionally, I don't mean just my intellect mind and my intellect heart, but my emotions are tied in to almost everything that I do. Friendships, work. And so I do things from a place of passion. And because of that, I get tired a lot, because when I'm in a conversation with somebody, I'm in a conversation with somebody. When I'm with my kids, I'm 100% in that moment, giving all I got, all my essence to that moment. So I get tired. And when I get tired, I crash. It's like, whoo, I'm tired. I need to go home and I need to lay down, or I need to do nothing, meaning just be in an environment where my brain is kind of not expected to think about anything, where I'm making decisions, because a lot of my thinking is based around making decisions on all the things that I'm engaged and involved in. So I know you all have lives like that too. I told you to get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil prior to this pondering. And so one of the things that Steve Schallenberger taught me to do is to write down my many roles. So this is something, you're not going to have time to write them all down, because you really need to think about it. When I thought about all my roles, I have more roles than I thought. So, or that probably a person should have. And maybe not, maybe that's who I am, and I have to have those roles to feel engaged in the world, all of that. But to know them is to evaluate them and to determine whether or not they need to be carried forward into whatever season of life that you're living. So take a few moments now and write on a piece of paper at least 3 of your roles. Those are easy. We can always pull that out. I'm always going to be a mother. That's like the coolest, like the most wonderful gift that the universe, God gave me, being a mother. I have 2 incredible people in my life that I love so very much. And so that's the number one, a role that I emotionally, physically, all of it. That's good. My relationship with my faith is also, and I'm not doing these in order, but my faith-based life and my faith and my practices of faith and being engaged in that are very important to me. And that's a role that I play, right? That's a place that I move out of other places to move into that role. So that's a role, and it's a major role. It eats up a lot of my life essence and time, okay? And then we're only picking 3. I have more than 3. So my third one would be, I am a family person. So outside of the children, which are different, they're my family, but the love for them is parental, right? And it's deep. It's like, oh my gosh, da, da, da. But then I have cousins and aunties and family that my sister that I'm close. I mean, I love my family, but I have different roles within that family structure as well. But I just lump that as my family role. I haven't been doing very good with my family role. One of the things in family role is we meet every Sunday on Zoom from all over the world and talk and chit chat and say, how you doing? And share each other's successes, stories, sorrows, all of it. I haven't been participating in the last couple of weeks because I've been busy with my faith life. So those are the kinds of things. So write those roles down real quick. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, write them down and maybe write them in a column thing. So later on, when you're beginning to do this little assignment, it'll be prepared for you to do that. Okay, so you got your 3 roles. And some people have 9 roles, 10 roles, whatever. Some people may have 1 or 2. This is not a judgment of your roles. It's just for you to identify, okay? And then in each of those spaces, put down how much time you give to each of those roles. And then after you do that, how much time you feel you want to give to that. So for instance, in the parenting, when I did this originally, and this is not the way that Steve Schallenberger does it in his book, but I modified it for myself using some of his tools, and some of this stuff is in there. And Do What Matters Most is the book, by the way, and how much time you want to give to it. So how much time you actually are doing, so you got to be honest, you're on the honor code, and then how much time you really want to give to it, right? So, okay, and again, be honest. If you're only giving text time to your children, family, or whatever is important, whatever you say your roles are, especially if they're relational, if you're only giving text time, that's easy to add up. You can go back and look at your texts for a week and see how many times you text your family member, and that will add up to the number of, or the minutes, seconds, or hours of intentional connection. Now, if that's all you did, for me, I'm not a good texter. If that was the only way that I could value how often I am in communication with anyone, that would be awful. My numbers would be really, for me, awful. The other is Facebook, while great, because I use it for communicating with in all my areas of life. I'm using it now. It can't be the only form of communication that we have for relationship. We have to find other ways to build up that time of relationship. So in every part of your life, the places that you've chosen, figure out how much time you give to it, and then look at how much time you want to look at it, give to it, and then look at the difference. And if the difference is 20%, 30%, then start to think of ways to ratchet it so that you're reaching your goal in that area of your life in connecting with those roles. So that's just one thing on that piece of paper that I want you to work on and share if you want with other people over the weeks to come on Life is a Sacred Journey. I have this wonderful book, and it's called What If? I think I've shared it with you in the past. And I've been reading it a lot. And, they have these wonderful what if questions. And so I wanted to play What If with you this morning as one of my ponderings, as our pondering. So this is the question that I have for you. If you could spend, what if you could spend 1 year looking for one thing in the world, what would you search for? I'm going to repeat it, and then you can write it in the chat. Let's have some fun. What if you could spend 1 year looking for one thing in the world, what would you search for? Leon, what would you search for?
That's hard.
Leon said it's hard, you guys. What would you search for? In 1 year, you had a whole year, money, nothing, everything in your life would be taken care of. You wouldn't have to worry. And there was one thing that you would search for. What would it be? Man, for me, I was thinking about that. What would I search for? And since yesterday was St. Patty's Day, I was like, maybe the pot of gold, like at the end of the leprechaun thingy, right? Where if that's really real, really real. But for me, when I think about that, 1 year just to search, I would want to find the places where Jesus went when he's not being spoken about in the Bible. Like all those spots and all those, because I've traveled places when I was in Bali, they have paintings where they believe that Jesus was there. And so I would love to do that research and then travel to use a year to search all those places to see if they're mythical or if they really exist. So that's what I would love to do. So not the Holy Lands. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there's research showing that Jesus traveled outside of the places that we traditionally think of him being. And those are the places I would like to go, because I'd like to see and understand maybe what he learned and how those things have become a part of our practice when we say we practice Christianity. So that's what I'd like to do for a year. If you could spend 1 year looking for one thing in the world, what would you search for? What are you putting in the chat? Let me see. What are you putting in the chat? Leon, did you come up with an answer?
Like enlightenment or like.
Oh, Leon says he would search for enlightenment for a whole year. That's what he would search for, enlightenment. Oh, Nancy said the most stunning sunrises and sunsets on the earth. Yes, Nancy, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? And maybe to be able to do that like really quickly, like to move from spot to spot and just see the sunrise. And it was always amazing to me. This is me. This is the child in me. When I traveled, that the time difference was what it was, but when we were looking up at the sun, we were looking up at the same sun. Wow, right? And same thing with the moon. It's like the time is different, but when you look up at the moon, when you look up at the sun, it's the same moon, it's the same sun, even though it may be a day ahead somewhere else. What? I love it. I love that stuff. Okay, here you go. Here's another one. What if you could have told one thing that you weren't told when you were a teenager? What would you like to have heard? Ooh, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to say it again. What if you could have been told one thing that you weren't told when you were a teenager? What would you like to have heard? That's a good one. That's a good one. I know the answer. I wish I should have a dong, dong, dong. I know the answer. For me, it would be, it doesn't matter. When you get to a certain age, this thing that you're flipping out about, Micheal, it won't matter. That's what I wish somebody had told me. What about you? What's your story? Write it in there. Write it in there. Come on. You got to play the game. You got to play the game. Hit the share button. Maybe somebody else would love to share this with us. Okay. Oh, I love this last one. We'll do this last one, and then I'll go into my last pondering and let you go back to your life. Okay, here we go. What if you could live on any one street in the world? Which address would you choose? Oh, I love that. Okay, if you could live on any one street in the world, which address would you choose? Which address would I choose? If I could live on any street in the world, what address would I choose? I love France, but I don't think I could live on that street, like where all the hotels and stuff are. What is that called? Somebody write in the chat what that's called. Yeah, I'd love to live there. If I could, like, in the penthouse suite, paid for the rest of my life, and I wake up every morning watching people just go around the circle. What's your street? Where would you like to live? And what is the address? I don't know the address to where I'd like to live, but I know where I would love to live. What about you? Share it in the chat. One last one. Here we go. What if you could sing any one song beautifully and perfectly? Which one song would you pick? Oh, I love that one. Okay. What if you could sing any one song beautifully and perfectly? Which one would you pick? 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 Come on, write it in. I love that you moved to Sesame Street, Nancy. Think I'd go there with you. All right, come on. It's a wonderful world is a great song. You know, I'm thinking like you. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. If I could belt that out like Patti LaBelle, woo, woo. What song would you sing, Leon? Leon, I'm pulling Leon in this morning. In the garden, yes.
Like a Michael Jackson song.
He would sing a Michael Jackson song. I could see him doing that, actually. What if? I love this. I'm going to start bringing these to my ponderings for you to get you involved. I love having you involved and sharing with you. And it's just such a great time to be able to do that. Before we leave, I wanted to give you some brain health tips. Because again, as I'm going into that season of my journey, brain health tips are very important to me. And then in May, as you know, for the last year, I've been on an incredible health journey using some of the tips from Dr. Carolyn Brent's book and some other books that I will share with you, The Plant Paradox and all of that. And then I kept all the stats. And I will share those stats with you so that we can look whether or not there was a difference or not a difference. I think there has been, but we'll share together. The numbers never lie unless somebody is working the numbers. All right, so I love this. This is a book written by a dear friend of mine, Dr. Lawrence Katz, and Gary Small is another physician. And I actually am recognized in this book because I contributed some data to it. So I'm kind of proud of it. But one of the things that they talk about in here about the mind, about the brain, and about how to just manifest good brain health. And they talk about hydration, they talk about exercise, they talk about being engaged and involved. But one of the things in here that really, I thought was interesting, they keep talking about changing things up, moving things around. I mean, there's a chapter, in here about commuting. And I've said this to you many, many times. Change your commute. If you're going to the local store and you go the same way all the time, change it. You know, maybe not now with the gas, all of that. But you know what I'm saying. Change that route because research is showing that when you do repetitive things the same way, your brain shuts down because you don't need it. You're doing it from tactile memory and muscle memory, and you're not taxing the brain to think of something different, to say, oh, wait a minute, if I go this way, it's longer, but I got to go to the left and not to the right. And so they say you should change up your commute as often as you think about it. So for now on, let's change up our commute to some place at least once a month or once a week if we can. Not, I know gas is like really crazy. I won't even talk about it because I don't want it. It will make me cry. The other thing is musical chairs. Remember we used to play musical chairs? It says here at dinner time, have everyone switch the seats that they normally sit in and sit in a different seat. Switching seats changes positioning, but it also changes it changes the way your mind will interact with everybody. So this Thanksgiving, make sure you change the seats, or when you're having your family dinner, change the seats around so that everybody gets an opportunity to think about it for a moment, because then the person that's sitting on your right isn't normally the person that would be sitting on your right. And it gets you thinking a little bit differently. I love that. I love that. I think that's a really good one. And then the other was spice up your setting. And this was not so much buying a whole bunch of new things, but they said have candles, aromatherapy if you can. Some people with asthma can't do a whole lot of aroma stuff, but they're saying changing your setting around, visual, have your china that you can see it if you can, flowers again if you're not allergic, tablecloths. Don't buy one or two, but change them up for the season. I actually have an Alice in Wonderland tablecloth now on my, I love that thing. And then multi-sensory, any kind of multi-sensory. Change the furniture around, one, for your safety, but change it around so that you have to get into new habits of navigating your own personal space. They say food for thought. Yeah, things like seaweed, fish, and tea are good for our brains. They talk about using talking about coffee and milk. That Brazilian coffee is good for. I actually love Brazilian coffee, and they say using chopsticks. Anytime you get the opportunity to use a chopstick, even if you don't use it for the whole meal, just use it for a part of the meal. And it's just something different, something that you need to learn. It says, close your eyes and open wide. So you close your eyes and open wide, and close your eyes and open wide, and look up. It's basically an exercise to say, open your eyes and see what's going on around you. Stop and smell the wildflowers, and put some wildflower seeds in your pocket and look for those barren spaces where if they grow, they won't hurt or obstruct any other life, but that they will grow and be a beautiful spot for somebody else. The other thing before I close is acts of kindness. You know, we used to talk about acts of kindness, and I used to try to find them every week and share one with you. But acts of kindness are so important. And they make people feel valued and recognized and seen. And so, you know, if you're in a line somewhere and you see the person in front of you or behind you doesn't have a whole lot of groceries and you can afford it, you know, say, here's $10, tell the cash register lady, here's $10 towards that person's groceries. Whatever, I don't know. The other day, you know, somebody bought coffee for me and I passed it on and bought coffee for the person behind me. I was in the Dunkin' Donuts line. Whatever it is, just one little tiny act of kindness every day will change you and change the trajectory of the world. Remember I said, be the change you want to be. My friend Kathy, oh boy, I don't remember Kathy's last name, but the earrings that I had on last week. And all of that, just really be engaged and demonstrate that kindness is the way we want to go. Somebody told me the other day that we are possibly going into World War III. I was like, wow, it broke my heart. But I think that we can combat that. I think we can combat that. We can't stop Russia from doing what Russia is doing, but we can, as a humanity, start to treat each other with a little bit more kindness and a little bit more respect. And maybe that will stop the people who only want to hurt, maim, and destroy. So have a wonderful weekend. I hear it's going to rain a little bit tomorrow. So get your firewood, get your snuggly blanket, and get some nice socks. Get ready for that moment. Pamper yourself. Love yourself. Don't try to drive out in the rain. Go do your chores today. And if it's raining tomorrow, snuggle up with yourself and love yourself, because you know what? You're incredibly wonderful, and you're the best person that you could be at this time. And you're living out a purpose that is absolutely marvelous. And that's why we're all in this together. All right, you guys, if you are a person that is out there that is thinking sad thoughts and thinking that the world would be better without you, please know that's not true. And that's the myth of despair that's in your heart and in your mind. Please get a hold of the suicide hotline. It will be in the link down below. And please call them and get some help. Know that you are loved, even if you don't feel it. Somebody loves you. Somebody can love you, and you are lovable. Hug a tree, pet a cat, pet a dog, hug yourself. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace out.